Hey guys, it's Matt at Fastmetrics bringing you a video of the metric phone web interface. Today we're going to be going over linear queues. So here's a domain I have set up. We have 4 different users, Agent Matt, Agent John, and Manager Beth. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up a queue that hunts through the users in this order. So we want it to ring Matt first, John, and then Beth. So every call that comes in is going to try and ring in this order. So each one will come into the first one, ring for a certain amount of time, timeout, ring for the second one for a certain amount of time, timeout, and then the third, and so on until we reach a certain timeout. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to click on Call Queues, Add Call Queue. The name is a descriptive name, so let's say Sales Queue, and give it an extension 900, and we're going to select linear for type. So some initial values here. The agent ring timeout is the amount of time that we spend ringing each individual person before going to the next step. So by default it says 10 seconds. So it's going to ring Matt for 10 seconds. When it's done doing that, it'll stop ringing Matt and start ringing John for 10 seconds and keep going down your list. We're going to set that to 5 for right now. And let's leave everything else to the defaults for now. So click Add. And I already had these set up. Let's go ahead and remove them so we can add them again. So if we have a blank queue, we're going to go ahead and add somebody. Just type in the extension. We see Agent Matt. We want to set them to online. The wrap-up time is the amount of time before somebody gets re-entered as available. So if you were on a phone call and that phone call ended, you have the wrap-up time in seconds until you're eligible to receive another call. So that time is usually used to enter information into your CRM like Salesforce. Max simultaneous calls, usually you're going to have this set to 1. You can set it, as many calls as you want to send down to that person, and it's just going to show more calls coming in on their actual phone versus letting them focus on a single call. Order in the linear hunt. So the order that we're looking at is literally their position in the queue. So this is the first user, so we want to have it on 1. Queue priority for agent, we're not going to worry about. And we can usually leave those unchecked too and click Save. So now let's just repeat for the other 2 users. Online, no wrap-up time. This user's second in line. And 200, and this user's third in line. Okay, so from this screen we can see that all these icons are green, which means available and online. If I dial between the 2 of them, so now I made a call between these 2 people and now they appear on a call. And if I unplugged one of these phones, it'll turn gray. And that means that their phone is either off or they're logged out of the queue. So that's all there is to actually setting up a queue. The only thing we're going to check out really quick before we go ahead and make a test call in is check out the user that it made when we added that queue. So it created a user on extension 900 called sales queue, which was the name that we entered in. If we go there and click on answering rules, we'll see that any call that comes into extension 900 is automatically forwarded to a queue of the same name, 900. The important thing here is this field, the ring for X seconds. This is the absolute max amount of time that a person can sit in that queue. So if you set this to 30 seconds, at 30 seconds they are going to be offered a chance to leave the queue and leave a voicemail or get re-queued. So let me go ahead and set this down to 10 and then we'll make a quick call in and you guys can hear it. So right now the first person is ringing and just switch over to the second person.
Press 2 to leave a voicemail. Press any other key to return to the queue, or you may hang up at any time.
And if you don't press anything, it's just going to re-queue you as if you pressed any button. So that's the very basics of it. Alternatively, we can force somebody out of the queue so they aren't just sitting there going through that repeating over and over again. To do that, we would edit the default answering rule here and set the when unanswered rule here to send it to voicemail or another telephone number or an extension. So if we want to send it to the voicemail of extension 900 here, we would just click save there. And now if we dial in, it's going to ring our guys for 10 seconds and then go over to voicemail.
Nine zero zero is unavailable. To dial another extension, press 1.
Just like that, and we can adjust that menu as well. So that's how we set up a very basic call queue that lands into a voicemail box. There is a typical use case that people come across in that they have a support or sales team of 10 or 20 users or something, and they want to ring all those people, and if for some reason nobody answers that call, they want to ring a manager's phone or maybe a backup group of people. So if we look at our list here, it would look something like this. So this might be our sales team, and we're going to ring these guys for 30 seconds or some amount of time, and then we're going to fall over to our manager who's going to clean up the rest of the calls. And if that person doesn't pick up, it's going to roll over into voicemail. So to keep things short here, let's have these guys ring for 10 seconds. Let's have this person ring for 5 seconds. And so what's going to happen is it's going to ring for 10 seconds on just these two phones. Or on just these two phones. So let's change that to 10 seconds. And then it's going to start ringing this phone in addition to these two phones. So from 0 to 10 seconds, ring those phones. From 10 seconds to 20 seconds, ring all three phones. So the way we set that up is we go back into our queue and hit edit queue. Come to agents to ring initially, agents to add after timeout. So the way that we set this 10 seconds is to have the agent ring timeout to 10 seconds. Agents to ring initially, so if we have our list, so 1, 2, 3, we want the first two people to ring initially, so we're going to have that set to 2. And then agents to add after timeout is how many more people after that we want to add. So we just want to add one person. Oop. So if we wanted to add, if this list went on for like 4, 5, 6, we could say, hey, ring 4 more people, and it's going to get us 3, 4, 5, and 6. Just like that. But for now, let's just take that and click save. If we bring up this interface here, you'll be able to see who's actually ringing. So there we go, we're ringing these two guys. And then it'll bring on the manager.
900 is unavailable.
We had that timeout kick in first, so let me adjust that to go a little longer. So what happened there is before it could fall over to the next person, we hit that 10 seconds. So let's make that 20 seconds. Now it's updated. Go back to call queues, double check everything here. So 10 seconds. It's going to ring these two for 10 seconds and then ring them for 10 seconds. So at 20 seconds, it's going to kick out. So that looks good. And let's try that again. So there we go. And now our other phone just went on.
Nine zero.
And there you go, we're in the voicemail. So that's how you set up a tiered linear call queue. The other options we can get into here, if you are going to allow your agents to log in and out of the queue, it allows them to, so if say John went to go to lunch or something, we can actually remove him from the queue so it skips over him in line. If everybody goes home for the day, eventually you end up with nobody able to take calls. And so that's where this toggle is very useful. If there's no agents around and everybody's logged out, and you have this set to yes, users will automatically skip going to the queue and go directly into your no answer rule. So right now we'd have it set to voicemail. So if everybody was logged out, it would go directly to voicemail. This next setting goes hand in hand with that to log out an agent on a missed call. So if somebody gets offered a call and they don't answer it, we can log them out automatically. So that's usually used if you close up for the day and somebody leaves themselves logged in. Once they miss one call, they will be logged out. So if we want to see those two in action, the first call I'm going to make in here is going to actually log these guys out, so you'll see them go gray once they missed that call. And then the second call will actually go straight to voicemail because there's not going to be anybody available. Okay, and so now that person is logged out, which is what the gray represents. And now that person's logged out. And now they're all logged out.
9-0.
So right now, everybody's logged out until they log back in manually. They can do this either with the web interface or use the star code. So if we call in right now with nobody available,
9-0.
it goes directly to voicemail.
Is unavailable.
And we can, as the admin, we can also just make sure they're set back online. And that'll bring them back on. And you'll see it says available. And one last setting to go over here is the max queue length. If every one of your agents is on the phone, the queue starts getting added to. So if you want to keep your queue to a certain level or a certain length, you can set it here. So what this means is everybody's on the phone. We're going to let 10 people sit in that queue. And then the 11th person that calls in, if there's 10 people still sitting there, is going to follow your forward busy rule. So if we set this to 1 and click save, and I'm going to log a couple of these guys out just so we can see it. Okay, and then we come back over to our user to set up that rule, the busy rule, and we'll also send that to voicemail. Okay, so what I'm going to need to do is actually call in 3 times. So I need to call in and make this person busy, Agent Matt, and then I need to call in one more time. That person's going to sit in the queue, and then that third person is going to be the second caller, which the second person in the queue, which we're not going to allow because we have our max queue length set to 1. So let me make those calls. Okay, so we have 2 calls in there, one's in the queue,
9-0.
and then this one goes, this is
is
the third
unavailable.
call. It's going straight to voicemail. And so that's all the settings that we have available. The other 2 that you're going to see here that is max time. So what this does is basically the same thing as the timeout that we have back on the user. So what we usually tell you to do is leave it at unlimited. Expected max wait time is going to be a feature that we're hoping to get in pretty soon, but for right now just leave it at unlimited as well. And that is all there is to linear queues in the metric phone system.